Hospital reporters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Herpanwo TV and welcome to this, the second part in my series of films on the Nottinghamshire Roswell. Now, if you've not watched the original Notts Roswell film, please go and do so now. There's a link in the description box. It's this film you're watching now is a update. It's a second part to what was in that original film. A lot of the information in this film is an advancement on that. In the first Notts Roswell film, I made an appeal for information. I asked anyone who lived in the local area who had any information on the event which took place to please get in touch with me. I'm very pleased to say that somebody did, and that's someone who was actually already a Facebook and YouTube friend of mine, and that is Nigel Crowley. Nigel Crowley has contacted me, we spoke, and we agreed to meet up, and Nigel has assisted me very valuably in making this film. Nigel and his brother have been working to research this case and get it out into the open for many years now, and I'm very pleased that he agreed to help me out with this, and of course I've helped him out as well by publicising it. I was also accompanied by Dan Bostock again, who drove us around and also gave some invaluable information and of his own experience in the area, and of course his little son Mason, who kept us company. He came with us again, so I'm really pleased. In this film you're going to meet all three of those guys, and me of course. So, what happened? Well, what exactly was that event? Well, the first video gives all the details of that, but basically what happened was there was a loud explosion in the sky on the 12th of November 1987 in the Mansfield area of Nottinghamshire. It was accompanied by strange objects sighted in the sky, bright lights, and an earthquake-like effect, using shock waves, and many other strange features, environmental features that night. The area was sealed off, a very large area was sealed off by the government, and what we're looking at here is some kind of Roswell event, hence the title of this film. So please sit back, relax, and let us travel to that area now and see firsthand exactly what happened and where it happened. Well, hospital reporters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Herpanwo TV yet again, and continuing this programme, this update on the Nottinghamshire Roswell. I'm very pleased to say that I'm here with Nigel Crowley. Hello Nigel. Now Nigel, give us a little bit of information about yourself, because you got in touch with us after the first film was made. I'm very glad that you did. So you're familiar with this case, are you not?
Yes, I am. I've been looking into it for, well, me and my younger brother have been looking into it for a long time. Since I picked an article up in a magazine called UFO Reality, I think it was 1996 or 97, and it said, did a UFO crash near Mansfield? So we looked into it, and there's two researchers from Mansfield that I've tried to get hold of, but I don't think they're no longer interested, or they've just gone or disappeared, what have you. But we've just followed on from there, and we've scoured Thieves Wood for years, and we've actually found the site now.
Right.
And it's, well, basically it came down over Mansfield, which is in that direction, and came down over there, where it bounced and finished up at a place called the Warren, which is on a private estate called Annesley Hall, which is near Hucknall. Yeah,
we saw that, and we actually went to Annesley Hall in the first movie, if you'll recall. But and there's large areas there that are actually off limits, and you can't access very easily.
Not on them at all.
Yeah,
it gets very frosty if you go there as well. I've tried, you know.
So where are we actually now at this moment?
We're at the edge of Thieves Wood at, I think the Coxmoor Golf Club is that way. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, it will be, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I imagine.
So it did actually come over here. It came actually between Mansfield and Blythedd, which is over there, in that sort of geographical locations. It came in somewhere over here, but it landed there. Now, if you can, where that crane is on the edge of the construction site, you'll see there's a lot of trees that are shorter. Now, when we go down there and get closer, you see, because that's where it came in. Now, when you look on Google Earth, it only goes back as far as 2001 and things.
Yes.
It's all clear. Because when it came down, they took 4 inches of topsoil off it.
Right, you can see there's some small trees there, and there's larger trees. That's Thieves Wood over there.
That's Thieves Wood over there, and that is actually where it came in. Right. And there was a huge explosion before it hit the deck, basically. Yeah. So that's when it was whacked by some sort of weapon. I mean, people said it was hit by missiles, and I think that's complete bullshit, to be honest with you, because when it comes down, it was in some sort of trouble. It was making a loud whining sound, and it was zigzagging across the sky. So, and the military was on scene within 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, this is an interesting point. We're going to have to come back to this.
Yeah.
This, as with the Bedouin Mountains incident, we have military response to these events, these crash events, UFO crashes, very, very quickly, far more quickly than it should be if they were not alerted. As you'll know if you watch, if you're familiar with Richard D. Hall's work, and I refer to this in the Bedouin 40 UFO video. There was a forward operating actual camp at Llangollen near Bedouin Mountains where there was a unit already on standby. And we had a similar situation here, don't we?
Well, they track them when they come down. There's obviously the nerve centre for it's NORAD, or some similar sort of installation in that disgusting place that's called the United States. And
apologies to American viewers.
Yeah, they're all beautiful people, of course they are, but well, Obama's an asshole, just like the rest of them. But,
true.
But the track it comes down. Now the RAF bases in this area in the 80s, because it's the height of the Cold War, East Nottinghamshire, Lincolnshire, was just one big airfield. There were so many airfields out there. Now the nearest operational base was a place called RAF Newton. Now that was a training base, so I doubt very much they had anything on standby there. It'll be something like Cranwell, Coningsby, Wittering and places like that, which have got that sort of military hardware, heavy lifting helicopters. Because when it came down at Bledeth, which was over that way, there was Chinook and Gazelle helicopters with searchlights on going across all the farmers' fields.
Right. This is amazing. I mean, what strikes me about this is really, it's a miracle no one was killed, because this affects...
Well, it's a massive explosion.
Such a large area where it's affected.
Some people's properties that were damaged badly in over there. I think is that Sutton.
Sutton's over that way.
Yeah. But some people have fascia boards blowing off, windows shattered and things like that.
Yeah, chimney pot came down, wiring zapped. I mean,
aerials falling off
yeah.
the roofs.
One of the principal witnesses to this event that spoke to Nexus magazine was actually a guy who deals with home insurance in this area, and he said that he made the number of claims.
And there's also a TV repairman that was working that night, and he got inundated with calls because obviously the MP pulse that, in my eyes, whacked this vehicle. Obviously, that's why it knocked out all electricity transformers in the area. And how long was the power off down? For about a week?
About a week,
yeah.
so, yeah.
And that was about, because I'm a trained electrician as well. I used to work for East Midlands Electricity Board as it was at the time. And when you knock transformers out, the infrastructure needed to replace them. No wonder it was off for a week. And it also knocked the water supply off as well.
So really, we're talking about enormous damage.
Yeah.
We're talking about a very large explosion, a very large electromagnetic effect, heat damage to a large area. So really, this is really quite a remarkable. It's amazing that this is not. We're really the first people to sort of look into this.
Well, the
issue in detail.
official line locally from the local propaganda ministry, which is BBC Radio Nottingham, said it was a crashed helicopter.
Oh, that old chestnut again.
So why would they need about, well, God knows how many Chinooks and Gazelle Scout helicopters and trucks and they close the actual site from Larch Farm where you picked me up to the crossroads here.
So this area was inside a cordon at that time.
Yeah, that's right. It was closed for a week.
Right, a week. Oh, bloody week.
Right to the junction there, and right to the junction back towards Ravenshead, where you picked me up from, and right up to Mansfield at West. Is it West Notts College, Dan?
West Notts College is that way. Yeah.
That junction there, it was closed there, and right over there. So it was shut for a week, and they was bringing the main traffic into Mansfield, round the back of Bledeth, going in. Well, I think it is Bledeth. Into where you come out of Ravenshead. That's right, and it was bringing all the main traffic in that way. You see, because it was closed for a week. You see, so.
That is really. This is really quite. So it's a really remarkable incident on the scale of maybe Roswell. Actually took place here.
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's no ways a crash. Why would they do that for a crash helicopter, like you say? Why would a crash helicopter cause all this damage? Yeah. We've had a couple of helicopter crashes recently in Scotland and also in Norfolk. They've had some.
Well, they normally just put some ticker tape around and stick a copper there until someone picks it up, don't they? And but they don't need all the vast military lifting equipment and the top 4 inch of topsoil.
Would have been tracking this.
Yeah, they knew when it was coming. I mean, I actually thought at the start of this it was some sort of ARV technology that the shadow government produced, but no. Not to whack it with an EMP weapon, because people say, well, how do you know it's been whacked by an EMP weapon? Well, it knocked out all electricity transformers in the area.
Yeah.
So, and you get a surge when an EMP pulse hits electric circuits, you get a surge, and that's why it blew everything to bits.
Like I say, I live 6 miles away, more, going on 10 miles away. and it was out.
Yeah,
I mean, we were filling bath up with snow because it was snowing.
That's right. Yeah.
God, blimey! I mean, this
No
is like.
electricity.
So you were effective. You were. So a lot of people, because I mean, one thing that surprised me is even though, obviously, as I said this before, there's a great deal of difference between folk history and official history, and since we made this video, a lot of people in this area know about this.
No.
A lot of but you go to the official news stories, it's hardly mentioned.
No, it's a helicopter crash story.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried to contact Radio Nottingham, BBC Radio, and I just got, well, the woman said you were conspiracy theorist. She put the phone down on me.
Oh well, that's what I
Well, I'm
expected.
only interested in conspiracy of fact, darling. Now,
Yeah, they say.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
if we go back down, I'll take it. But that where them sort of trees are, that's where it came in.
right.
You can see that the growth of the trees have been a lot longer. You can see because nothing started to grow in that area until, well, and I would say the late 90s.
Definitely is no. If the soil was damaged too, then of course it's going to take a long time for that to recover, to allow things to grow. And there's some trees much shorter there than they are.
A section of the soil away.
We took it 4 inches off, and when you go on Google Earth, it goes back like I said, as far as 2001. You can see that it looks like a football pitch. It's just grassland.
Yeah.
And there's also huge parts of that area that was filled in with sand as well.
Right.
So,
Well, one thing we're going to do now is we're actually going to see where that is on the map, and I'll show you where it is on the map now. Orientate ourselves. Where are we? Here we are. I'll just zoom in on the location where we're at. We're basically in this area here, just south of Mansfield, Nottinghamshire. Let's go to Earth View. The actual theatre of operations for this event is in this kind of area here. This region here which is the area affected. It's quite a large area, as you can see. A large area was sealed off. It's actually quite miraculous that no one was killed over this event, when you consider the huge area covered. Now, where we are at the moment is where we drove up this road here, and we're just about there at the moment on the corner of this field. This photo is obviously a few years old, because this field now is part of that quarry, and we're looking across towards Thieves Wood, which is where Nigel is pointing. Thieves Wood is this green area here. This is the first area we're going to investigate, which is relevant to this particular event that took place. And you may be familiar with this area. In the first film, in Roswell, the first film, this is the area we explored. We parked there and we walked up that track and we explored this area of the wood. And we were actually in the wrong place, according to Nigel, and it's actually the south part of the wood, which is the area which matters, and that is where we're going to go next. So if you care to accompany us, we shall continue our little adventure. Right, where are we now, Nigel? We've moved a short distance from where we were before.
Just come down the road a quarter of a mile, off the main road, which is up there, down this dirt track, and this is the site here.
Right.
Where the shorter trees are, this is the actual impact site, going back towards where that quarry is. But we showed you.
So we're seeing it from the other. We were over in that
It was
direction.
over in that direction.
Right.
About
These are the
quarter
trees
mile.
we saw from the other side.
Yeah.
And these are big tall trees. These are older trees.
These trees were untouched, but when you get further to this clearing, you'll see that some of the trees, well, are bent outwards.
Right.
And there's also evidence of high temperature.
Yeah.
On the trees. Now, obviously these trees in the late 80s will be a lot shorter than they are now, obviously because they've grown.
Yeah.
But some of them are disfigured and bent at the top, which is due to intense heat, because this whole area was on fire when it came down. Because civilian fire services were called here, and they came as far as Bingham, Gedlin, Netherfield, which is all places, Bingham side of Nottingham, Carlton, Arnold, and obviously the Mansfield in the surrounding district as well.
Well, so we're talking. I mean, I'm familiar with emergency services, being in them myself. We're talking about a major incident here.
Yeah.
Large numbers of fire appliances in this area. These are the trees. These trees have now.
These trees are all okay.
They've recovered.
Me and my younger brother have been. Christ, we've been here so many times. We've walked through everywhere. These trees weren't untouched. Now, if I show you, we'll just get past this one.
As you see, we're reaching now a point where there's some much shorter trees, much smaller
Going
ones.
down here now.
Right. Yeah.
So if you stand here, you can see the older trees here, and you can see the younger trees. Now these trees are only roughly. I've got a friend who studied a university course on trees, and these have only been here for 5 or 6 years, if that.
Yeah.
Some of them are older, like them two there, but generally, as a rule, this whole area is a lot younger than these trees here.
Yes, definitely. You can see immediately.
That's where it came in. Now,
There's
the rest of the object was between 30 and 50 feet in diameter when it came down. So that fits perfectly with here.
Yeah.
Fits perfectly with it.
And there was so we're talking about like an object, for want of a better word, that came down in this spot here, and there's a large amount of heat which destroyed a lot of the trees.
Yeah.
And an impact site as well, an impact crater.
Well, and it's not very clear, but if you look up there with the camera, you can see some of the trees are tilted back at the actual tree line there, and more of them are tilted back.
Yes.
Obviously, for a result of some sort of high impact.
Yeah, I want to get a closer look at them actually, and see. I'll go back and have a close look at them in a moment, but let's carry on down here for a minute.
The whole area up here still, that was all cleared as well.
Yeah.
Now, for example, there. That's the sort of damage you're looking at. The top of that tree there, it's bent.
Yeah, that one there.
Now, obviously in the 80s, when this came down, that tree would have been down here. Now,
A few of them are, look.
you notice all the pink on the bark?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the result of heat, intense heat, fire.
Yes.
And that's obviously when the tree repairs itself and carries on growing. And also, when we get further around there, all the branches and twigs on the trees are non-existent on the side facing the impact site.
You can actually see the pink. There is pink coloration to this bark.
That's right, I'm there.
Which shows these trees have actually been burnt.
Yeah. These sort of trees, I forgot what the name of the trees are now.
I don't know what there's some kind of. They got these.
Well, pine,
yeah, pine of some kind. Yeah, coniferous tree of some kind.
Yeah, the old pine. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is. Wow, it's a bit. Yeah.
The Forestry Commission obviously use these. They do cut these trees down over a certain period of time and make furniture out of them.
Yeah. This was 26 years ago, and these trees, although they're big enough to have been standing at the time, they've recovered from their injuries.
Yeah.
As trees do, you know.
Because you see the pink discoloration on the bark is only on this side of the trees, not the back end of the trees.
Right. So it's like. So this is almost like radiated heat, a directed energy.
Yeah. But in that magazine.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's actually true. You may not be see because of the silhouetting of the camera, the sun, because of the blue sky behind us. But yeah, I can't see any pink coloration on this tree here.
But you can on the other side, higher up.
Now, if that was a normal forest fire, you wouldn't get that. You'd have it all round.
Some people say it could be microwave radiation.
No,
you know.
It's definitely directed heat. It's heat radiation.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you'll see more of it, extensive damage in these trees down there.
Yeah, right. So we're going to. This is quite a large. It's a large space actually here, Nigel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's open at the other end because that's where the crane we were looking at must be up here somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. It's just right in the middle there.
The crane is somewhere over there, and which we just saw.
Now this soil is generally in this area is very sandy anyway. But they did put sand down once they took 4 inches of topsoil off this whole area.
Right.
And this fence was put up in 2000. They've turned it into marshland and filled it with water, which is obviously convenient because it keeps people out. But
Yeah, if you can't, you can see actually it's wetland in there. Yeah.
To take 4 inches of topsoil off, there must have been some pretty contaminated soil when it came down.
Yeah. So the topsoil was removed artificially by whoever attended this incident. Yeah.
Diggers, what have you. Now the military, once the Royal Engineers get involved, if it was them, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's specifically the Royal Engineers. It would be part of the retrieval team because obviously they're going to be equipped for things like this, aren't they?
So we're looking at kind of like. They removed it. Do you think they removed it because of contamination, risk of contamination from radioactive fallout?
And
or?
also to probably to clear the soil of debris as well.
Yeah. Because did this object, we don't know what it was, but did it break up on impact?
Well, I don't know, but they said it was this whole area was on fire when the civilian fire. Oh, it's perfect for access. You could get fire engines and trucks down here.
They can get down here. It's wide enough.
So they bought it down. They bought all the stuff down there, all the equipment, and they totally sanitised the entire area. I mean, to close it for a week, it's pretty good going to get this lot cleared.
This actually happened at Roswell because the Roswell craft did break up at some point. Well, it came down, it broke up. The largest evidence we have is that the Roswell craft actually managed to get into the air again and then crashed at Corona, a short distance away.
And it was also found, Stephen Greer said it was also trying to repair itself. From eyewitness accounts who was at the retrieval site, they said I don't know if it's what they call it, nanotechnology, but the craft of these beings are in a sense living things themselves, aren't they? So I've heard.
The
So-
craft is partly organic, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, this is speculating about the nature of these various craft, which is very, very difficult to do. But I mean, it is a possibility, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
of course,
that's-
you've got to approach everything with open
yeah,
mind.
it's possible that something similar that to
Yeah.
the Roswell craft actually came down here.
Well, I firmly believe now that it was hit by some sort of EMP weapon or something similar to bring it down, and it was extraterrestrial. Because
Yeah.
they wouldn't put so much effort into a helicopter crash.
Absolutely
You know,
not.
or you throw a bus out the fucking sky, would you?
And if
You
it
know?
were one
Yeah.
of our craft, they wouldn't
Don't
be
go
trying
to some
to take
shepherd.
it down.
Yes.
No.
Well, even if it was an experimental aircraft,
But
yeah.
you go on YouTube and look up military crash retrieval of military aircraft that have crashed. They'll have ticker tape round it, a few guards or a few police officers, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, there would be, if it was an experimental craft, then there'd be a little bit more security than that. But, I mean, this is what a lot of the skeptics say. They say, well, that's what these crash retrievals are. And there's even the story that the government actually puts out deliberately disinformation about UFOs in order to cover up their military aviation, to launder their military aviation experiments. That doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the evidence.
But as far as the skeptics are concerned, when the skeptics have gone into it as deeply as people like Richard D. Hall, Stephen Greer, anyone else, or even me, then come back and talk to me. Because they just write it off without thinking.
Yeah.
And they're just a bunch of absolute fucking idiots.
Yes, absolutely.
Because they're highly
Yes.
educated, they've been to university, they think we're stupid, we don't know what we're talking about. Well, actually, they're always the last people to know situations like this, aren't
That's right, Mark Thomas. Philip J. Class. I know you shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but he's a prick.
they? Screw him,
And,
best
yeah.
place for him.
David Clark, people like that, yeah.
There, like nearly everyone's got a bent top and pink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like we
You can see the
talked
pink, if you can actually see it better from a
None of them
distance,
were like that
can't you?
all the way down,
You
apart
can s-
from round here.
You
Because,
can-
like I say, in the 80s...
So the
these
sun's in the
people
wrong
were a lot
direction,
lower
but,
because
yeah.
they're a lot younger.
Yeah, they would, yeah.
See.
I don't know if you can see this on the film, Panama TV viewers, because the sun's sort of in front of me. But it's
very rare in this
yeah,
country.
exactly. It was nice. I was going to say we got a UFO in the sky, big orange, big spherical yellow
disc.
object. Never seen that for a while.
Yeah.
But from a distance, you can actually see very clearly the coloration on the trees, the pink coloration, which Nigel's informed us is heat damage. It's the trees means the trees are now recovered, but at some time they were badly burnt.
Well, the trees lower down are not damaged because obviously they've grown in time, but the
Yeah.
top, like I've said, them trees would be a lot lower down. That's where the heat damage because all the bark's pink.
These ones here are obviously younger. They're small trees.
Well, these have grown in the last
Yeah.
10, 15 years.
No sign of any damage to these.
That wood, it bends, doesn't
Yeah.
it, and twists.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. That's exactly what happened. It's intense because the whole area was on fire. But I'll show you more of the trees further down there
Yeah.
as well.
Thanks, Nigel. Yeah. So I'm going to show you now where we are on the map, so you can judge. You can see for yourself. You can follow our little trail here. So, see you in a minute. Right, ladies and gentlemen, Panwell TV viewers, we've actually moved a short distance from where we were. This is where we were here, looking across towards the wood. We've now moved down here. We've parked our car, and we've walked down this track here. And the location you've just seen is this one there. This is the cleared area that Nigel was talking about. Now, as you can see, this wood is there's some dirt tracks running through the woods here. These are various dirt tracks here. The woods on both sides, and there's small paths, as you can see, through the trees. This gives the impression that this forest is divided into blocks. And as you can see here, very clearly, a couple of these blocks are gone. This is the large cleared area you could see, which is some considerable size. It also, there's a carriage on here, there's a kind of swathe cut through, an irregular one this time, an irregular swathe cut through these blocks here. That's almost as far as this second track here, which is some few hundred yards away. And you're going to see an awful lot more about, we're going to explore this area in detail. And you're going to see, you'll understand exactly why Nigel and his colleagues have worked out this is suspicious. This is a part of what happened here on that day, on November the 12th, 1987. It looks to me exactly like, imagine this is kind of like a thick lawn, and there's a lawnmower being dragged through it. Just imagine that writ large. That's what it looks like to me. And as you'll see, something actually was dragged through it, and this is what Nigel is going to demonstrate. So Nigel, we're actually we've actually moved a short distance from the original clearing, which is there, and you're now going to show us there's some more damage here to the trees. Sorry about the sun, everybody.
Now, the trees, as you can see, are disfigured and bent.
Yeah.
Some have, not all of them, but they've all got the pink bark, which is the
Yeah.
determining physical evidence.
Definitely, yeah.
I think anyway.
Yeah, you can't actually. You may not be able to see this on camera, I'm afraid, but we can see. I can clearly see. Yeah.
The path there, we can get a lot closer.
Yeah, I'll get a bit closer to these things. But no, how far are we actually from where we were in the first film I made? Because
we're about.
which direction are we in from
half
there?
a mile. Where we stood at the start was roughly at the end of the clearing. There's a huge bank of building some sort of quarry or housing estate, and we're just to the left there.
Yeah. So where did me and Dan come in on our first?
You and Dan came in right over there.
So we were on over that side.
You came from the A60 side, which
Yeah.
is, you can get to it because this path here takes you straight to the A60 anyway.
Yeah.
But that's where you and Dan came in. You see, and that's what. Right, I've got to get in touch with Ben because he's going the wrong way.
I do appreciate, mate. I really do. We're glad to have you on board here on the Panwo TV. So we go along here, and so we can see more about this area here. That's like. Oh, is there still? Would there still be any sign of radiation contamination in this area?
I don't know. I mean, I'm thankful I'm not a scientist anyway.
No. Because I mean, if you're ever thinking, if they were build a house here and you're thinking of buying it, I mean, obviously it's not going to harm us just walking in and out.
No.
But if you're thinking if they build a house here and you're thinking of buying it, you may want to think twice.
Yeah.
Because of living in an area for many years where there's high radiation levels. Obviously, these will drop down with time. Radiation diminishes with time.
Yeah.
But
now,
where are we now? There's a little pathway
this
here.
Is the edge. This is the edge of the impact zone.
Right.
Right. These trees, look.
Yes, they're bent over. Let's go and have a closer look at them. Can't see it on the camera really, but the sun's come out, which is good and bad. Yeah, the sun's come out. I just know that something good is going to happen. But we have here another cleared area. There's more cleared area here.
Now look, the disfiguration of some of the trees, not all.
Yeah.
That one's dead, there, and they've got the pink bark on this side of the trees, not on the other side.
Yeah, but you can see. Yeah, and maybe you can see this now, Panwo TV viewers. See if that'll focus. But yeah, you can see these trees are certainly bent. They're certainly bent over at the top, which is unusual. And there's one here that seems to be is dead, and it looks like the branches have been maybe cut off, but the trunk's been left there.
And you've noticed on the trees lower down, there's no branches or anything on them because they're like the sterile dead, but they're still growing because nothing's coming off them.
Yeah. It's like.
Look, and the same here, look.
Yep. This tree's bending over. They're disfigured at the top of the branches.
I won't bother asking any of these walkers. They're probably Coronation Street dog walkers.
Yeah. And this area here this area that's clear here. This is part of the impact site.
This is the very end of it, and all the trees. Like I said, look, the pink on this side, they're all pink, and there's no branches or nothing. And the Forestry Commission don't strip them off.
No.
They only strip them off when they cut them.
And I see the pink coloration actually goes down to maybe about 20 feet above the ground there. You can see.
Obviously, years ago, the trees would be a lot lower because they haven't grown.
Yeah. That's it. So we're talking, after 26 years. Of course, there's some new saplings here that have come up in the time since then.
It all depends on the species of the tree and how they grow. Now, you've got willows, which grow rather quick. You've got silver birch that grow quicker. So you've got a varied amount, but generally as a rule, right back from this path, right the way back, they're all more or less the same height.
Yeah.
You see?
Right.
You see? So you can see there's no growth, there's no branches on these sides of the trees, which explains intense heat.
Yeah.
And all the way up there, especially on these here, going up there.
Yes, you see very clearly. I'm sure even this is coming out on the camera. You can see very clearly the difference between that coloration and lower down that coloration. You can see very clearly there's a demarcating line. And it's the same. It's at the same level on all those trees.
Exactly. That's what we picked out when me and my younger brother came here.
Yeah.
On many occasions, and we noticed is like I say, when these were a lot lower, it explains it perfectly.
Yeah. There's some logs here. I'm just going to ring count here.
These have been chopped down recently. These ones
Are they?
last week when they came up. So
Right.
This will be Forestry Commission that's done that.
Right. I was going to say you can.
You can see pink.
Yeah, that's pink on that side. Yeah. Not on that side. Yeah, it's only pink on one side.
You know what I mean? When I was saying one side of the tree's been really burnt, and the other side out. Now, obviously, these trees came from this area.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. This tree must have been planted soon. Well, no, you don't know where this log came from. It must have been planted soon around just before the time. Or just there's dog muck there. Oh, and
So this now, what I'll do, I'll take you back up the other side.
yeah, cheers.
And then we'll go down and you'll take us basically on the other side of it to the
Right.
original where we started from. But the classic discoloration is due to intense heat. These trees are okay, look,
Yeah,
but they're not.
that's right. Yeah,
You know, when something lands and hits the deck at such high velocity, you could be stood right next to it and it wouldn't touch you. But 100 yards away, you could have all
Yeah.
you could be blown
yeah.
yards. You know, it depends.
Also, some of these trees are going to be shielded by the ones in front,
That's right.
so they
Well,
wouldn't
you
be.
can see, look, they're pink, that's pink, that's pink.
Yeah,
These
you get
aren't.
less and less
Yeah.
pink as you move up.
Well, that's because there's one there that's pink, but then the thing about it is it's rather like Ublis's paradox. You have some trees that are actually shielded from others.
Yeah.
So that tree was obviously still facing the. See, it's heat damage. You wouldn't get this in a normal forest fire. What you get all round damage spreading out, and all trees are same. That one there was affected by heat damage.
Yeah.
Yet the ones next to it weren't, because they were even shielded by the ones in front.
But there's no growth on these, look.
That's right.
Everything's dead. They're all more or less bald.
There's nothing above.
And that tree's disfigured at the top, look.
Yeah.
Because obviously that will be a lot lower down,
Yeah.
20 odd years ago when it happened.
It's
So,
like they've got branches only at the top and not at the bottom.
Yeah.
So these trees, yeah, I mean these trees obviously seem to have been affected in some way.
So if you get a wood burn and you put pine with bark on in a normal domestic wood burn, leave it in for 10-15 minutes, and then take it, it'll grow back. But the barkwood pinks have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
we'll take you back up to the
Right, but there's another log here which is pink on one side and brown on the other. Pink on that side, brown on that side.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is yeah, it is. I mean, we don't know what direction that tree was facing when it was cut down, but it's based on the living trees in this area. It's likely that it was facing the pink side was facing the direction of the impact site.
Like I said before, this whole area was cordoned off and closed for a week, and no one could get anywhere near it.
Yeah, there's lots of talk about helicopters, like say Chinooks, these big transport helicopters the RAF use. They can carry so many tons, I think. So when they were at this site, during that week, what were they doing here? They were, apart from clearing up the soil, did they remove the object or the wreckage of the object?
The object bounced here. It didn't
Right.
come to rest here.
I see.
It came to rest at Annesley Hall,
Oh right,
private land. That's where it came to rest.
that's where we went in the first video.
And you was very close to where you went, very close to it. You can't get to it. If you'd carried on up that path on your first video, you'll be able to see the warren in the woodland, and it's got a huge patch. It's clear, and it's actually been turned into agricultural land to grow on.
Well, if we've got time, should we go and visit it?
Yeah, definitely.
Should we go and visit it? Because I mean,
I've tried to get on Annesley Hall, but I got a frosty response, and they called the police, so I had to shift a bit quick, right?
oh right, so they're obviously guarding this area very carefully.
I suspect, and I know it's shooting in the dark, but I suspect that the owners of Annesley Hall were the owners back then, and they basically got a visit. Keep your,
Want it this way, will
keep
we?
your mouth shut.
This way.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut, or do you want some money, like the usual?
Yeah, that's it. And keep prowlers off for us, will you? Yeah.
Yeah,
We
you
could
got.
go on then. If police come, we'll just explain we're interested in this event.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
You can only get on it from the hall end. They'll come straight. You'll not be on there 2 minutes, and they'll come straight out.
Will
Honestly.
they?
Yeah.
We've got gamekeepers that patrol the land
Yeah.
as well.
Well, we still get a shot of it. I mean, we still get a shot of it from the path, you know. I mean,
It's actually easy to get into it from the Hucknall end. Because I'm glad I've mentioned that actually, because there's a Royal Observer Corps bunker on a hill called Misk Hills in Hucknall, which overlooks that land.
right.
And now they was dotted all around the country in the Cold War to monitor the effects of a nuclear attack on this country, on the population centres. So in 1987, that was manned, and they would have definitely seen it come down.
Yeah. Now this here, we're now moving from the area which is cleared
No.
back into the old woodland here.
It all
pre-
depends on the blast and how the blast affected everything.
Yeah.
You see, they're all badly damaged that side, but this side they're not until you get further
Yeah.
down.
Right. So here we have newer
But
trees.
the trees are tilted.
Yeah.
Some of them are. Further down, they are tilted. You can see that they're all like that.
Yeah.
One
Definitely want to
side.
get a shot of that. But you see where we are now. This area has been cleared here
And it's
as
very
well.
hard to get in here in summer because
Yeah.
everything grows back. You see.
This is we're a little way back from the path we were on originally. We've moved slightly away from the path we were on
And
originally.
you can see this is a good comparison. You see, because
Yeah.
you've still got the small branches on the trees, and all
Yeah.
affected down there. there's none on the trees.
Yeah, you can quite clearly see. You can quite clearly see this is basically the line between the cleared site and the old woodland here. We're just entering that now.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
if we go back down there along that main path, and I'll take you to that side.
Right, we'll go there now. All right, Nigel. So we've moved. What we've moved is we were over in that direction, weren't we?
Come over,
We've walked through this wood. Now these woods were beautiful. I was walking on this pathway. And you often ride your bike round here,
Yeah,
don't
all
you?
the time. I love it.
And these woods, I didn't get a shot of the interior of the woods, but basically it was like a natural woodland. So you see the branches on these trees. Now these trees are the same species as the trees we were seeing
They're all
earlier.
pine. The taller
But
trees
look,
are all pine.
yeah, look how the branches come down to the ground, and these branches have been allowed to grow, and they grow naturally. They're so different from the trees that are over in that direction over there, even though they're very clearly the same species. There's no pink coloration on these trees. They are natural pine trees of some kind.
But if you imagine that was, it would have come in like this, hit. That's why the damage is all over there, because that's where the shockwave would have gone. Because if you're stood behind it, obviously there'd be a huge noise and bang, whatever. But as it travelled, how long it skidded along there, I don't know. But the actual shockwave went that way, which explains why a lot of houses were damaged in that direction, which is something.
Yeah, is a large. The shockwave, it craft impacted here. It didn't actually come to rest. The object didn't come to rest
No,
here,
it didn't, no.
but when it came down, it obviously started a huge fire. So it left a lot of heat.
Yeah.
It was radiating a lot of heat, a lot of radiation. It lifted up into the air again,
Yeah.
and we moved. So we're going to look at where it landed later.
Yeah.
But
Well, basically, it went. Annesley is over there,
right,
directly over there, by I think it's 2-3 miles
yeah.
over there.
And Annesley Hall is where we're going to be going later.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is.
We're actually on the edge of the actual.
And here you can see, I don't know if you can see there for Panmo TV viewers, but the crane we were looking at earlier is there. That there is the crane. Can you see it? Where is it? There it is. Just see it through the trees there. That crane is what we saw earlier from the other direction. And beyond that crane is the quarry where it was all sealed off and we couldn't get in. So, so we're now going to carry on along here through this area, through this spot along here. We're now in the cleared area as well. As you said, this object came down here. It didn't come to rest here, but it did an awful lot of damage when it struck the ground and lifted into the air again.
Well, all these trees determine that because they're all young.
Yeah.
No.
There's ground here. There was no topsoil originally. This topsoil has developed. It's thinner topsoil than in the rest of the wood.
Well, this is interesting because this is a pine tree, and that's the height of the pine trees here. The taller trees here.
Yeah.
That's what height would have been in '87 when it came down. But, yeah.
Right.
See, so that's why you've got the bent trunks at the top and the discoloration
Yeah.
and everything else on them trees. Pine does grow quick anyway.
And I think this is a similar or identical species to the ones around as well.
That's what they get bigger. They end up like that.
Yeah.
It's all
This is a young one.
So this is what height there would have been roughly, as a
Right.
guesstimate in '87 when it came down.
So basically they were pretty small and they've grown since then. Yeah.
See, because that's what height they grow up to.
Yeah.
And these are all silver birch and willows. These are so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they grow a lot quicker than pine, which explains these.
This is why these trees are a lot taller. These silver birch trees are a lot taller.
When you look on Google Maps, this area is where there's actually a lot of sand been put down.
Right. So the sand was under our feet. So because originally you said until around about 2000, you said this was like a big sand,
It was
gravel, sand or
This
whatever.
actual area was sand, this bit, but the rest of the impact site was just grass or fern or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
When you go back, as I say, to 2001 on Google Earth, you will see it. This is actually the sand area. You will see once you see it on the computer, you'll get a lot better of the bearings. It's
Yes.
really sanding, you see.
Yeah. I'll be showing. Obviously, I've shown you some of these things on the map, so you can see exactly where you are. If you want to come and look at the place yourself, come and have a look. All the evidence is here in front of us. So
You get a good view there, look, of how young the trees are.
yeah. There's the young trees and there's the older trees behind them, and you can actually hear noise. I don't know if you can pick this up on the microphone, panel of TV viewers, but you can actually hear noise from the quarry right now. There's like a machinery in the quarry. Hey, Dan and Mason here are helping us out. Right, we're almost at the quarry now, so we're looking here at a very, very major UFO incident. Like I say, we don't know what actually came down here, but it's not one of ours. Look, you see very clearly there the machinery in the quarry.
And obviously there's a fence there because it actually looks like that, and that's all like bogging marshland, and they put a fence around that. That fence was put up in 2000.
Oh yeah, you see that's the fence. That's part of the fence line we were seeing earlier on.
It basically goes like that in the centre of this area. The fence goes like that. So that's where they've taken the majority of the soil. Well.
Right. Yeah, because that's the kind of area where we wouldn't. You could get in there if we wanted, but it's all wetland.
Yeah, unless you've got waders.
These waders.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'll take your word for it.
No,
But
no.
yeah, there's the quarry. That's where we were. We were on the other side of that quarry earlier on today. So
Walk this way.
carry on a bit further this way. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we reached the fence at the edge of the quarry. Now this is the same fence we were looking at earlier on, but we were on the other side. We were over there somewhere, weren't we?
Yeah. Well, just to the side where the crane is.
Yep, just beyond that crane.
It's about a quarter of a mile away.
Yeah, you can hear machinery there. So we're now walking down the far edge of the crash site or the impact site. So we're going to take a walk down here. Obviously, any debris that was here, the clearing of the topsoil may, as you said, Nigel, the authorities may want to clear debris just like they did at Roswell.
Well, I think more than anything to get any foreign bodies out of the soil so people like me and you don't.
Well, exactly. I mean, they may have been concerned about contamination of biological entities or something, viruses, alien viruses and bacteria. Although there's no evidence so far that has ever happened. Well, there's a few specs, like at Virginia. There's some evidence that there was somebody fell ill who handled one of the beings. One of the soldiers who handled one of the beings fell ill, including some staff at the hospital which where the being was taken.
Yeah.
But you see, this is all shielded by this berm of earth here. There's some small, looks like they're trying to grow trees on there.
I don't know if this house or a quarry, but as we stand here now, we're actually in the centre of the...
You can see both sides actually from here. You can see right down the length, because it's almost like an oblong, I'd say. Yeah. It's much longer than it is wider.
And obviously earlier on in the film, you've seen us at the top end.
Yeah.
We're
over there.
Yeah, we was over there.
And we're now at a space where it's kind of lozenge shaped or like an arrowhead. Yeah. It's a bit wider here than it is further down there.
But the key to it is if you look at it in Google Maps, you'll see how it was before all this lot started to grow back.
We have what it looks like here, something to do with drainage. There's it looks like here this is designed for drainage.
Yeah, that would be for the quarry.
Is that for the quarry? All right, okay. But this area is very muddy here. I've got some new shoes. But luckily my new shoes are not that new. They're actually hand-me-downs from my dad. So luckily he's the same size as me. So I'm just going to wade through this mud to get to the other side.
Joys of the British winter.
Exactly, yeah, or so-called winter. We haven't really had a winter. First winter we've had was this morning when there was a bit of frost.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Come and have a look at that. Thanks. Well done, Dan. Pile of sand.
That's a molehill, but that's what the moles are bringing up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're bringing up.
As you see, this is very sandy. This is different colour soil to what you get elsewhere.
Obviously, it's a different colour when it's dried in the summer because it's
A spade or a fork could have dug a.
But it's like there's moles here and they're bringing up, like you said, there's moles living here. They're digging, this is the spoil from their digs.
The sand generally around here is sandy in summer when it's dry, but this is the covered parts, not all of it, but the covered parts of the area in sand.
This is kind of like, it's definitely a different colour to the soil we were seeing earlier on.
Because it's washed sand what they put down. Washed sand is different from natural sand in the sense that it's a lot lighter.
Yeah.
You know, washed sand is very fine.
Yeah, there's a...
Basically, it's man-made sand.
Yeah.
That is. Basically.
This is what they put down before 2000. Then this is what was here.
Yeah.
Until 2000.
Yeah.
Right.
That area there, we just walked them. They covered that area about 50 yards in sand, and there's a few patches in. There's a big patch up there, which is going on the path now back to the car, and it's just up there.
Right.
So I don't know why they put sand in certain areas and not in others. I don't know, but I think the reason why they fenced this off and made some sort of natural beauty spot thing for it is just to keep the public out.
Yeah.
Because that is the area here that's cordoned off with a fence, is where they actually took the majority of the soil out.
Yeah. So this was the centre of the impact. This is where the object actually struck.
Came in and went straight up there.
Tore through these trees, which were much smaller in those days, and flew back up into the air.
Well, don't forget, I mean, I suspect also that the trees were obviously like the big ones there. Could have been, or I don't know, but they took all the stumps out, the trunks and everything, because when you've got heavy lifting equipment, diggers out, you can shift anything.
So this object was, How big? I mean, it's hard to estimate the size
Well,
of it.
they reckon it was between 30 and 50 feet in diameter.
Right, so it's a large.
Looks a good 20 years.
Any idea of shape?
I don't know about the shape at all. But I mean, generally they come in spherical sort of shape, don't they?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The actual reports of unidentified flying objects vary enormously, from arrowhead to triangular shape. Some are cigar shaped, some are spherical. I mean, of course, the classic flying saucer. Some of them are cube shaped.
But they don't exist, you know. The government says so.
Oh, yes, of course. That's right. That's right. There's no evidence.
Just let my nose grow a bit longer.
As Chris French would say, there's no evidence. No evidence. I saw him the other night.
If you see Nick Pope, go and drop him for me.
Nick Pope. We can neither confirm nor deny that.
That man is basically, he was put in he finished the Ministry of Defence. I'm qualified to know, he knows jack shit. He was put, there's a front for the average person in the street to come, oh, I've seen something in the sky, okay, well, we'll fire it, and it's nothing official. No.
Well, I do wonder, Nick, because I mean, I know Nick watches my videos, so...
Hello, Nick.
Hello, Nick. You've
done a real good job for the UFO community, you bloody idiot.
I do wonder, mate, how much you actually really know. Because you've got to realise that just because you're put in charge of the UFO desk doesn't mean you know jack shit. It means unless you have a need to know, you won't know. One of your junior officers might be told stuff which you're not, because he has a need to know.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that may be the reason. No offence, but I think that may be the reason why you become a media star in the department.
And he also lives in America now.
Yeah,
and real coincidence. I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't let. It's either him or Dave Clark. You tend to get this, don't you? It's either Pope, or it's not him so much now, but because he moved to the States. But it's Dr. David Clark now, who's he's even worse.
Well, they wheel him out, don't they? All the time, don't they?
At least Popey still he can't deny that the extraterrestrial hypothesis is true.
Yeah.
He can't deny that. He's never rejected it. No. Clark does.
Yeah. You see, the thing that I will stress to people. Obviously don't take my point of view as gospel, but when it comes to the UFO community, there's enough hardcore, prominent researchers that do know what's going on, and they do know what the truth is, and people have got to listen to them. I mean, the only people I'll listen to really is Stephen Greer. I think a lot of his work's excellent, and the proof is in the pudding in the eating, because he's lost people in his organisation trying to get this out. Richard D. Hall's fantastic. Yeah. Timothy Good. Brilliant man. Timothy was excellent. more of a balanced approach, but he's more old school, isn't it? But
yeah, he doesn't. Timothy's very keen not to get involved in other kinds of conspiracies. He's very one of the people who wants to keep ufology separate from that, which I think is a mistake. Yeah. But apart from that, he's a great man. Now, this is a good spot here, Nigel, because this is a good place to compare the soil colours. This soil is much darker and more kind of like. It's more sort of like, it's tacky. It's more tacky.
Well, like I said, that is actually man-made refined sand down there, and that's what they put down.
It's much finer and much lighter in colour. Yeah, it's lighter in colour and it's finer to the touch. This is more grainy to the touch.
Now the trees, as you can see, are all properly grown. They've got twigs and branches on them all the way up, unlike the trees earlier on in the video. Yeah, I noticed the undergrowth actually is different as well. Yeah, you have more of these green leaf bushes. Back there was nothing. Maybe it's to do with. Maybe that could be to do with sunlight exposure and things like that. I'm not saying that's anything related to the crash. In summer, the actual ground in these trees is full of ferns and things like that. It's really quite beautiful. You should come.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, I imagine actually in the summertime this must be a lovely place to have a walk.
Well, I'm always up. There's all sorts of these sites always dotted around Mansfield and North Nottinghamshire. And if you've got a mountain bike, advice to come up here.
Oh yeah. Right, so we'll continue now on our journey. There's a lot more to see. So Nigel, where are we now? We're near Annesley Hall now. We're going to have a look at the building in a minute. Where are we? Come to this to have just a quick look at something else, haven't we?
The sign says it. Mansfield's over there. Nottingham's over there, along with Annesley and Hucknall.
Right. So we're on the crossroads between those two areas.
Yeah.
But there's something very strange here, isn't there, in this particular spot? Where's that?
That entrance there is an entrance to a Cold War bunker. Now I need to find out when it was closed. A lot of them were closed in the early 1990s after the collapse of communism. Now if this was active, which I think it was, they'd have definitely known about it when it came down. Yeah.
So this would be related. This would be related to what we've been looking at, because it's in, as you see, as we've just told you where we are, Annesley Hall. These areas here are all part of this site where the object came down.
The object actually came over as we look. It came over like that.
Yeah.
And straight down over.
So it flew from the woods over there, over our... Is those Thieves Woods over there?
No, that's not Thieves Wood. No,
Oh, right.
Thieves Wood's another 4 miles that
Another 4,
way.
yeah.
It's over there.
They flew this direction.
Came over this direction, came over and went down.
They came down at Annesley Hall, which we're going to have a look at in a minute.
I'll just take you to this bunker first.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at this Cold War nuclear bunker, which would have been...
Now there's 2 bunkers in this area.
There's a guy in a white van watching us.
It's alright, then what? It's just one of the...
No, he's not. So, got to make that eventuality somebody's chasing us. It's a secret they want to keep. So we are on alert for anyone tailing us now. So this is a nuclear bunker. So this is an old nuclear bunker.
Yeah.
Blimey.
Now this place could hold about 60 to 80 people. Preventing this disaster.
Blimey.
60 to 80 people.
This is very big. You could probably hear the echoing. I don't know how much of this you can see. I'm going to turn the nightlight on.
Hey.
Hello.
Mezzanine level, and then it goes down. There's a ladder and a lift, and it goes down to 2-3 subterranean levels.
So would we get? Is there laws against getting in here, breaking in?
I've been in.
Well, is it
We
locked?
installed it 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's welded.
It's welded shut.
We could get in here one day.
Yeah.
If we really
There's
wanted.
hinges here.
Make a day of it.
I don't know, I make 30mm spanners, just take the bolts off.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could get in this if we wanted to, couldn't we? Hello.
I mean, we're not doing anything wrong, there's no signs anyway to say you can't go in.
No, exactly. It's just sealed off. But I mean, well,
Yeah.
I'd be curious to go in here and have a look around.
I'd
and everything,
love to, yeah. We'll get
There's
some
a mezzanine
torches.
level there. This is the mezzanine level, as you can see. And then there's a it goes along like that, and then there's a door, lift, stairs and lift, and takes you down 3 levels.
Yeah.
Wow.
This was designed to survive a nuclear attack. It's deep underground. During the Cold War, this was.
These places were designed in a dome shape, circle dome shape, and the communal bunks were all around the edge, the kitchens and what have you.
Yeah.
So,
In
Big, isn't
now,
it?
since the end of the Cold War, a lot of these, some of them are actually still in use, but they're privately owned. So I'll just wipe the lens.
There's another gate
Some of them are used as wine cellars. Some people live in them even. I mean, I don't think I'd want to live in a place like this, but
really, no.
obviously this is an old wet one. But some people have done them up and they've made them into houses.
I'd rather live in there than Buckingham Palace, put it that way.
Well, yeah, at least in there you don't end up on a sacrificial altar.
Yeah, yeah.
Daddy, there's another gate there. I hope that one's not
Yeah.
welded shut.
Yeah, we might have to break through both of them.
I'm a trainer, I've got loads of tools coming down.
Well, I think we'll sure to make a day of it one day.
Yeah, she'll come back here. I'll bring the camera.
Yeah.
We'll do her Panmo TV exclusive from inside a nuclear bunker.
Yeah.
But then if this one, I need to ascertain if this was active when it came down.
Yeah.
But I know the other one, the other side I'll show you, in the distance, that was definitely manned and active when that...
Yeah.
the electric
Would this
came
one
down.
have been manned? Is this one
Yeah.
likely to have been manned at the
Yeah.
time? So these bunkers always had a skeleton staff in them.
Yeah, because right next to the road, for a start.
Yeah. I know that.
The M1's, well,
Well, the M1 journey.
the M1's just literally up there.
Yeah, the big main motorway was built in 1965, the first motorway in the country.
To graph it, just to let viewers know, the Dakota Hotel there was built 10 years ago, roughly, and they had to cut half the bunker out for the
Right.
hotel in.
I see. Right.
way.
So yeah, sorry, it's 1955, not 65. The M1 was built, I think.
It was 65.
60, but what it was actually what happened was that the government decided that in the eventuality of a war,
The
yeah.
motorway is not far away, so they can move men and material
Yeah.
quickly to the designated place.
it will be seconded to the government directly. It'll be closed and used only for military purposes, including as a parts of it. Some parts of the straight part be used as a runway for aircraft. So this is for the kind of world we lived in the Cold War. Distant memories now. Right, now we've moved a short distance. This is the Thieves Wood area of operations, which we've just been investigating, and now we have travelled all this way along here to this location here, which is Annesley Hall. Now, if you watch part 1 of Knots Roswell, you will know all about Annesley Hall because I already filmed there before. However, I was filming from this location here on this side of the hall. This here is the hall itself. These are the working buildings, and there's the ruins behind it, which we were exploring in the first film. We've just come from around about here, which is where that bunker is, and we're going to carry on, and we're now going to carry on up. We're going to actually travel up this road here and have a look at Annesley Hall from the other side, the Dog and Bear Lane. So that is the next place that we're going to go. I'll just show you on the street view. exactly where we have been. And here, as you see, this photo was obviously taken in summertime. It's a lot brighter, but the bunker is in those trees there, and that's where we've been. And as you can see here, here's the road sign we've just shown you. So if you care to accompany us for the next part of this adventure. I personally think that about when it comes to the nuclear war, the fear it generated was intense. I mean, I was just a kid at the time when it was raging. It's been a long time now. It's been it's been getting on for 30 years now. The Cold War's been over, but I mean, it really was. There was a lot of fear, wasn't there, Nigel? Yeah. But I mean, if it came down to it, would there ever been a nuclear war?
No.
No, I don't think so either.
Because the extraterrestrials would have stopped it.
Yeah.
I mean, since the advent and invention of nuclear weapons, the late 40s, the extraterrestrials know every nuclear installation on the planet.
Yeah, and they hang around them as well.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, even if you can't see them, they're there. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. There may be a loony in a lot of these eyes, but screw him. But that's why some Russian installations got overflown and the UFOs hovered above them, because they were scanning the location of the installations. Yeah. And same in America. And that was a message saying to the people in these installations, don't blow up this beautiful planet. Exactly. Well,
the classic case is Captain Robert Salas, a man he's been branded a loony, even though he was trusted at some point. He was considered sound enough as mind to actually have his finger on a button to launch these things.
About helicopter and people like that. Same,
But you know that Salas had this encounter over the Maelstrom Air Force Base where his control centre was, and the missiles were just shut down. There was a similar incident, like you said, in Russia. Where something similar happened in the Cold War. Petropavlovsk. Petropavlovsk. Yeah, there was a similar incident there in which a bunker, very similar to what Salas had, where some missiles, another Cold War nuclear missile launching site, was overflown by UFOs. It was a bit different this time. They give the Russians a bit of a shock by first activating the missiles.
Well, the Russians were put on high alert after that. And I think it's one of Timothy Good's books, Alien Base. A number of Russian aircraft were actually brought down trying to intercept UFOs. Yeah. And eyewitness accounts said that it's like the hand of God pushing the jets into the ground. But
God, yeah, it's really unbelievable. And the Russia is I think the best source of evidence at the moment was coming out of the old Soviet files that are now hemorrhaging out the country. Yeah. And there's some really, really good film footage and photographs. Yeah. And things like that. But I mean, I personally agree with you. I don't think, even leaving aside the extraterrestrials, I don't think it would have come to a war, because I think the purpose of the Cold War...
It's just a bullshit exercise to keep everyone occupied.
What it was actually designed...
You've got to hate them people because they're communists and they speak different to you. And now it's gone from that to, you've got to hate them as blackfaces and they live in Arabia. Yeah. We want the oil, basically. We'll just kill every fucker in the way to get what we want.
Although communism was invented in the West. Communism was invented by Karl Marx, who was German. And and he lived in London, and he was a lot of the people involved with him, like Engels and that were, and then you get to Lenin and Trotsky and people like that. They were part of the same network, and they had connections to the banking families. Yeah. And the banks funded a lot of the Bolshevik Revolution. Right, at this point, Booth Illicit is going to put a comment in the comments box saying how he doesn't agree with this, and it's an ongoing debate between us about the origins of Marxism and who's behind it, and I've always said I think the Illuminati are behind it. Booth doesn't agree. But I mean, there's a book I read once, and I do urge viewers to read it for a more sort of like wider view of the situation. It's this one, Wall Street and the Bolshevik Revolution by Anthony C. Sutton. You can get it on Amazon there. I think it's probably a PDF somewhere online. Very interesting book indeed. I read it some time ago now. Well worth checking out. Look at both sides of the issue before you make your mind up. That's what I always say. All right, I know this is kind of we're kind of going off topic here, but I think it is relevant to everything else that's happening, including the UFO at Annesley Hall. And now we're going to return to Annesley Hall to continue our adventure into what you've come to watch this film for in the first place. It was all a setup, and what's more, I think it didn't really matter. I don't think it mattered whether... It didn't matter that there would never be a war, as long as people thought there would be. Yeah. I think that was the main thing.
The threat. You know, it's like David Icke says, it's problem, reaction, solution again, isn't it? It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah. As long as people were scared of it, they thought it would happen.
Yeah. Keep everyone in perpetual fear and perpetual hatred.
That was the whole purpose of it. The whole purpose of it was to generate fear.
Luftwaffe records of World War II. The Luftwaffe, unofficially, the German Air Force in World War II, were heavily into investigating unidentified flying objects as well.
Yeah.
The gentleman in charge of it was a bloke called Hans-Hugo Stumpf, who was a high-ranking Luftwaffe commander, and they had units all over occupied Europe, from Vladivostok right to wherever it, to the border with Spain. And there was one incident where something was spotted over a Luftwaffe airbase and sent Messerschmitt fighters up against, and they all got, well, basically pushed to the ground, basically. But
yeah.
So you know, this not problem, but this subject has been the attention unofficially of nations and governments and air forces for a very long time.
Yeah, and it was used to justify almost anything. I mean, there was no depravity too low that people would not stoop to for the Cold War cause, including devastating countries like Vietnam, threatening Cuba and stuff like that. The amount of money spent was almost incalculable. Amount of money was spent on the Cold War.
Borneo and Aden was no conflict.
The development of massive amounts of armaments, nuclear submarines, aircraft carriers, missiles galore. I mean, the whole arms race, it was basically the two sides were trying to outdo each other in the amount of weapons they could produce.
Meanwhile, the Rothschilds were cornering it in, was financing both sides, like the financed the Allies and the Germans in World War II.
Exactly, exactly.
You know, it's just...
They're pulling the strings of both sides.
And meanwhile, 160 million people lost their lives in the 20th century through Rothschild engineered conflict.
Exactly.
Well done, Jacob Rothschild, you're a star.
Then they got rich and they got powerful, they got more powerful, and their new world order was taken on to another level. Okay. There's a jet flying over. That's an RAF. Is that what you saw? Is it?
It's an RAF Typhoon.
An RAF Typhoon jet. It's a fighter. Having a fly over there.
And he's going right over Thieves Wood as well.
Hey, I wonder, maybe he's looking for us. Maybe those people we passed call the police, and the police call them.
Right over Thieves Wood, mate. And it's very rare that fighter jets come over here.
Yeah, maybe they are. Maybe you never know. But it's interesting that because we're another interesting location, because we've now moved a short distance from that nuclear bunker, and now you who have watched the original, please watch the original Not Roswell film. If you yes, because this is an update on that. But we were actually filming from that spot there in the first film. See that wall is? That's where we were filming the first time, and we were looking down on it. And remember I pointed out this pile of gravel? We're now on the other side of that, and Nigel, this is probably the most interesting part of this entire expedition, because we are now at the crash site, or close to the crash site.
Craft came to rest right over there.
Let me just get your hand in there. Is that in the field?
There's two trees in the foreground, at the back of them.
So behind those two trees in front of us?
Yeah, in the field here.
Right.
Right above that second tree, in that ground, that's where it came down. And that's called the Warren.
That's the Warren.
And by the way, since this has happened, when you look at an A to Z map, it used to come up, the Warren, and now it's been scrubbed off. A to Z, you can't get on the website, any of the maps now.
Right, there's the... I'm going to have to change film chips in a minute, but...
that's where it came to rest. And Annesley Hall, the owner of Annesley Hall, owns all this land right the way back to Hucknall. Yeah. All the way there as well. Right where the road is, this is all his land here.
Yeah, that there is Annesley Hall. That's the new one, which is in use. Whereas the old one, hang on, that's got broken windows. Where does he live then?
He actually lives in there.
Really?
Here, yeah.
Why is it in such a state? Because
well, I bet it isn't.
It's not as bad. It's not as bad as the one over there, which
I
is
bet
completely
drown in
bugging,
champagne in that bloody place.
Yeah. There's a car there.
Yeah.
We have a car. There's someone there. I think they're watching us.
Well, let them watch.
Let them watch, exactly. We're on a public footpath, mate. There's nothing you can do. And over there.
That's where it actually came to rest.
That is amazing. So now we're not actually able to enter that area because the security is very tight. There's some gamekeepers watch over this area because they're looking for poachers.
It's not advisable to get on the land because you'll be. The police are at Hucknall as well, and they're not far away.
Right. Yeah.
So, but a lot of people didn't hear it in Hucknall because this is a hillside here. And the noise will go back that way, obviously, because it reverberates off the land. Yeah. But anyone back here, because as we turn around, Thieves Wood is over there by about 4 miles, so it came directly over us.
So it came from there, over our heads now, where we are standing now, and landed there. It took off from the spot in the woods where we were earlier.
That's the first
damage. It was obviously maybe suffering from some kind of damage.
Yeah.
And
it must have been travelling at some speed. Well, to traverse this distance. To get over and land. could
And so,
get over land.
did the army move in here and seal this area?
Well, I
off
think
too?
I don't know, but the army got here first.
Right.
Before they went back to these, which would explain why the civilian fire crews were allowed on the first site to put fires out, because normally civilian authorities get involved, they'll just get rid of them quickly and immediately take over, don't they?
That's exactly.
So,
I mean, they didn't at first they didn't realise they would come down somewhere else first and then taken off. At first they thought this was just the only crash site.
I'm not sure about that, but there was here first before there were Thieves Wood.
Right.
Because obviously it's where the golden nugget is there.
Yeah,
so
the crash. That's right, this is
first.
the crash site.
But I don't think the devastation would have been as bad there, because obviously the inertia of the impact was over there.
Yeah.
Hence, that's why you got the explosions and what.
So it may well have travelled. It may well have actually slowed down considerably.
Yeah.
And when it was flying over, it was travelling at a slower speed.
Yeah, slow speed.
Before it actually came down to.
It's like the first impact took the iron out of the blood, so to speak.
Yeah. If there were any creatures, we don't know what was in there, but yeah, maybe there were creatures in there.
Drone controlled by a mothership.
It could have been. Who knows? I mean, there's all kinds of theories about what these things are, and we know that they've taken aliens out. The creatures we call aliens have come out of them, but but I mean, it eventually came to grief here, where the army came in and they sealed off this area. Was this road sealed off as well?
All this was sealed off right up to the island. It was all sealed off there, right to the bottom there as well. Now this takes you back into Hucknall and skirts a village called Linby, and it was closed from there right up there to West Knox College to Larch Farm, where you picked me up. And it was, that whole area was closed off. Now the civilian police did the outer security for the week, but the military did the inner part.
Right, we're gonna have to take a pause because I've got to change film chips. So that is the site of the crash of the Nottinghamshire Roswell spacecraft, or whatever it was. I don't like spacecraft refers to our own things like the space shuttle and rockets, and I don't actually. You shouldn't use that word really for extraterrestrial object. But something came down there. I say this area was sealed off for a week. You reckon, Nigel? More than a week? A week. In that time, as you see, there was a fire in the woods over there, a few miles away. There was a topsoil removed, and the object, whatever crashed here, was salvaged.
Yeah,
it was salvaged by the government, as with Roswell. As with these various other incidents that have happened, it was salvaged. Now, something that size, 50 feet across, how would they have got it out?
That is a good question. Well, the object initially was calculated being 30 or 50 feet diameter. So whether it broke up...
Assuming it was in one piece,
They could have broken it up on site and transported it on a load of trucks, which I think they did, because I don't think the military helicopter would be able to lift something that large.
Depends on how much it weighed, but whether it would actually fit inside the Chinooks.
But I mean, at the end of the day, they can just chuck a tarpaulin over it on a low loader and take it down with a escort, you know. Yeah,
that's what they did at the Kecksburg crash.
Because the average person in the street, especially in this country, wouldn't pay any attention to it anyway, because
I mean,
got to go in Coronation Street.
Yeah, I mean it's possible if something's larger, if something is of a right size, they can fly it out by helicopters. I mean, this would be the ideal situation for security, but they can transport things on lorries with a big, very tight military escort.
Well, the military trucks of the time, the low-loading trucks, were absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And you could get sizable objects on these things anyway. You just have to do a basic study of military hardware and transportation on the internet. And in the 80s, they had a tank depot at Chilwell, and they had these huge trucks that could transport 2 tanks at a time.
Right.
So there'd be no problem in transporting an object of 30, 40, 50 feet in diameter, I don't think, anyway.
No. So. And I mean, there was there was a time when during the Aztec case of 1946 or 1948, 48, they actually transported a much larger object than that on a flatbed lorry, although that was in much more open. That was in New Mexico, the New Mexico desert, so it's slightly more open.
I mean, the thing about the Thieves Wood location and this location, you've got main roads not very far away at all. Yeah. And these roads are here in the 80s, because I mean, I grew up around here. Yeah. You see, so.
Yeah, and there's some very old roads here.
Logistically speaking, there would have been no problem in getting hardware here anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much the military cannot do, really.
Yeah, especially if they have, if Michael Saller is correct, and they have like specialised detachments to deal with these particular incidents already trained and on scene. I mean, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that they had already done that. They already had a trained and experienced response units at the time of Roswell.
Well, Clifford Stone was part of it, wasn't he?
Yeah, Clifford Stone's one, and there's several other guys. What's his name? Corporal Wayne Gant.
I don't know. The only one I know is Clifford Stone.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy, very interesting guy. But there's evidence to say that even at the time of Roswell, there was already units trained to deal with these kind of things. Intelligence and military assets who were attached to, had special detachments in which they were trained regularly and basically did this full time.
Yeah.
Now, this is very, very interesting indeed, because what it means is that Roswell was not the first Roswell.
No.
There were others before then.
Yeah.
And I've written a whole article about this. I'll put the link in the description box.
There was something that happened in World War II as well in occupied Europe.
There were several events. Some of them are rumours, some of them there's some distinct evidence and lots of witnesses to say these things actually happen on a regular basis.
Well, the SS in Hitler's Germany was tasked with Luftwaffe assistance.
Right, yeah.
Because they had their own retrieval teams as well.
Yeah, and the Nazis actually went a long way to developing some of the back-engineered technology as well.
Well, if you read a lot about Nick Cook's book, Hunt for
Yeah.
0 Point, that's
Oh, the bell, the thing they called the bell, or the beehive. This thing they developed in Poland.
strangely he disappeared and went to America. They said he died.
Did he? Nick Cook?
No, Hans Kammler, the SS
Yeah,
general.
that's right. That's right, SS General Hans Kammler, who was in charge of these things. And at the Wenceslas mine in Poland, in western Poland, there was a huge installation. It was basically they filled it in. They buried the entrance tunnel in rock. They blew it up. Unfortunately, a lot of the people were still in it.
Yeah.
Some of them were slave labour from the local prison camp.
Well,
But
the
there was
Wenceslas mine was full of Jews, gypsies, homosexuals, whatever, you know. The apparent detritus of society.
Yeah, they were used as slave labour. But there were some scientists we all know about Werner von Braun, who was behind the American space program, who developed the Apollo rockets, which did or did not, depending on your point of view, take man to the moon. I say did not. But they were basically adapted from the V2 missiles, which caused devastation in London during the war.
Yeah. Well, the Americans wanted. I think the rocket technology was basically a front for what the real agenda was.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
That Project Paperclip was just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, both the Allies, the Western Allies, and the Soviets managed to acquire vast numbers of Nazi technology, including personnel.
Well, the Americans got the golden nuggets, the Russians got the leftovers, and the British got even less.
Yeah, that's it.
Anyway.
The Americans got most of it, but all of it, they basically divided the spoils of Nazi Germany after the war, and that included the scientists,
Well,
the Nazi scientists.
The Luftwaffe flew unofficially. A lot. They used a Junkers 390 transport aircraft, which were huge, to fly a lot of the schematics, scientists, and equipment out of the Skoda works in Czechoslovakia towards the end of the war, and that's when they all went to America. They flew it all to America because they had P-51 Mustang escort.
I've really got to go.
Yeah, let's go.
Proper give me earring.
Oh, right. Shall we leave Holland Mile for another day?
I ought to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, not to worry, mate. Not to. We got a lot in the can here. No, we were just saying that it's interesting. It's very interesting, Nigel, because if people say, well, what do they do with this stuff when they catch? Why do they go to all this trouble? Firstly, obviously, they want to keep it secret from us. That's one of the reasons they go to all this trouble. Another reason is they want that technology for positive reasons.
Well, yeah.
And that is they want to develop it in secret.
Yeah.
And the Nazis succeeded.
Yeah. The Nazis provided the first stepping stones as far as this technology is concerned, and probably furthered it as well, which I'm quite confident of, because Hans Kammler wasn't indicted at Nuremberg, he wasn't to be seen, and he was directly involved in huge numbers of fatalities through slave labour constructing these underground installations in World War II anyway. And he's actually had the same rank in the SS as Reinhard Heydrich.
Right.
So how did he escape Nuremberg then?
Exactly.
The Americans took him because they flew all the... He brokered a deal because 6 weeks before the Germans surrendered in 1945, he said to Albert Speer, I'm moving all my all the apparatus, the scientists down to the Skoda works in Czechoslovakia towards the end of the war, and that's what he did, and he went with it. Because basically he said, don't put the noose around my neck, I've got some right good stuff you're really interested in.
So he did a deal, immunity in exchange for what I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they all went, along with the SS scientists as well. So,
and
then they had a huge logistics operation because the Luftwaffe, under American supervision, got all this stuff out of occupied Europe into America, and obviously went to White Sands or some place like that.
Yeah.
So that's where Werner von Braun definitely resided. And I think Hans Kammler was directly involved in constructing all these massive underground installations that are still active in America now.
Yeah.
Like Dulles, for example, and things like that.
Yeah.
We are shooting in the dark, but I mean, come on, 2 and 2 make 4, not 8.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, so, but that's what they're doing. The Germans and the Nazis had a direct hand in the American anti-gravity technology, and obviously now they've built huge fleets of craft, haven't they? The Americans have. They come out of Utah. Apparently, what Stephen Gray says, they go up every night and they go out abducting people and what have you. So,
okay.
There we go.
Well, we're coming to the end of this little tour now. There's a little bit more, give you a little bit of a debriefing. But I just wanted to say, Nigel, thank you very much. It's Nigel Crowley. Yeah. Do you have a website or anything?
No, I've got nothing. I'm just an autonomous little man in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, well, it's people like you who do all the best work, I'll tell you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
And thanks to Dan as well, for Mason as well for keeping us company. And thanks to you, Panmo TV viewers, for watching. Hospital ports, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Well, thanks to Nigel Crowley there. A picture is beginning to emerge now of what happened. So we're just going to return to the original article from Nexus, and we're going to look into the other witness reports, and we're going to begin to look through it. So this event occurred in the early hours of the 12th of November 1987 at Mansfield, Nottinghamshire, England, which was, as you can see, a Thursday. On the night of November the 12th, 1987, a freak storm or freak thunderbolt damaged a number of properties in the Kirkby area, including one house that was almost destroyed, and as Nigel has explained, damage was actually felt as far away as Sutton in Ashfield, which is there. This is where the event happened. Sutton is right over there, so we're talking about, and where's the scale? Good few miles, 4 miles I reckon. As I explained before, it's a miracle no one was killed when this happened. As far as I know, there were no fatalities in this incident or any injuries reported. If anyone knows it differently, please tell me if you hear any differently. Mike West, who dealt with many of the insurance claims, will verify this was no ordinary meteorological phenomenon. He told residents, "This just does not make any sense. Every claim that I've dealt with in the last 26 years has been logical and reasonable, but this defies reason. The object didn't travel in a straight line, as you would expect with a thunderbolt, following the loose line of resistance. It zigzagged across the sky, and people even saw it dive down over the hills. It's as if the whole area was blanketed with electromagnetic radiation. Effects were felt over a wide area. Mansfield residents were rudely woken at 1:30 AM by the sound like an explosion." So we have it timed now. 1:30 in the morning, the witching hour, as Roald Dahl calls it. So we have, we can basically, based on what Nigel has said and what we've seen in these witness reports, we have an object coming in from a north to northeasterly direction. He says it came in around Mansfield and Blydyth. It's Mansfield, Blydyth. It was zigzagging, so it wasn't going in a straight line. It just means there were witnesses who saw it, and it came down. It was obviously in trouble. Oh, where are we? Effects were felt by these people, yeah. Appropriately, perhaps, a few were immersed at the time in an old war movie, The Battle of Britain on TV, which by a bizarre coincidence had just reached the point where the German bombers were dropping their payload, right. Strange. The cosmic joker at work again. We hear about lights suddenly dimming, bulbs popping in the house, electrical trip switches blowing. This is a witness who was a local TV repairman. The next day he was inundated by phone calls from individuals whose equipment had been damaged. Some suggested ball lightning was the cause of all this, but one old lady saw it flying straight towards her house, looping, double looping, and performing other manoeuvres. Now we don't know if this was the same object that came down. We're not sure yet. It's not. There may be more than one object. Another man described how the sky suddenly became red, bright red. The explosion was heard and felt over an area of 7 to 8 square miles, throwing some people out of bed. Yeah, not ball lightning. Residents witnessed an object zigzagging very slowly over Mansfield, making a whining noise as if it was in trouble. 2 more objects were subsequently observed coming down near Bledeth, close to Sherwood Forest. According to the insurance claims, objects came from 3 different directions and collided in mid-air, just south of Mansfield. Now that's interesting. The UFOs were reportedly heading towards Kirkby when one of them seemed to encounter difficulty. So we are talking about more than one object here. Kirkby, which I wrongly pronounced as Kirby in the last video, is here. So we're talking about something moving from the northeast to a southwesterly direction over Mansfield and Bledeth towards Kirkby and Ashfield. And this is the area where it came down. I think so much better with this screen capture program. I'm telling you, holding the camera in my hand was always a bit of a job when I'm doing this. One report suggests that the object was in trouble, and the other 2 could have been missiles. Now Nigel dismisses that. So we're talking about structural damage to property as well, power lines collapsing. We also hear about someone who had a chimney pot was knocked off their house. That indicates some kind of pressure wave or shock wave. Allowed banging, an explosion which was physical. It wasn't just an electromagnetic pulse. This again matches the Bedouin Mountains incident of 1974. See the Bedouin 40 film for more details and the various other literature on that. The first anyone knew something was wrong is there was an enormous explosion and earthquake. Eyewitnesses described a number of balls of white light streaking towards the UFO as it descended near Annesley Hall. Now that could have been anti-aircraft artillery or missiles. It's possible that someone did actually open fire on the object, whether that object, which actually caused the object to come down. There's some evidence that UFOs can be affected by things like thunderstorms. There's some reports of UFOs actually being attacked by humans and by our military hardware. Usually, almost invariably, the human comes off worse, but there are occasions where reports have come down of objects being shot down. The next place we go to is Annesley Hall, which is there, which I showed you on the map before. So you have a situation basically where the object is coming, like I say, from a northeasterly to a southwesterly direction. It's heading southwest towards Kirkby and Ashfield, or objects, or there's more than one. Something goes wrong and it comes down. The place it comes down is here, the clearing in the woods, Thieves Wood, right here in the heart of the forest. The object manages to get back in the air, bounces, so it manages to get back into the air. It's obviously not in a very good way, because it flies, I don't know what direction it flies in. It manages to fly, maybe arcs round like this, or maybe it went in a straight line, I don't know. But it managed to arc round here until it came down in Annesley Hall. There we go. Which stands on private grounds, hampering attempts to obtain further information. As Nigel has found out, at 2:15 AM, 7 military helicopters, just 3/4 of an hour later, 7 military helicopters, including what appeared to be a troop-carrying Chinook surrounded by gazelles and lynxes, flew in at low speed, scanning the area with searchlights over Normanton, Sutton in Ashfield and Kirkby. It's basically this area here, Sutton in Ashfield, Kirkby in Ashfield. Normanton I can't see, but it's this is the sort of area. So there's a very, very wide area of research. There was obviously on a search and locate mission over a wide area. They maybe weren't sure exactly where it came down, but they were flying over, desperately trying to find the crash site and the wreckage before anyone else did. The police subsequently cordoned off the impact site and erected roadblocks that remained in for several days. Now this is something that Nigel has talked about. Let's just illustrate exactly where these roadblocks were, because Nigel has given us some details here. Still recording, aren't I? Yes, I believe I'm still recording, yes. Nigel describes, this is Thieves Wood. There's Annesley Hall. Nigel describes the roadblocks and of course Dan Bostock there, who chimed in, who was part of this too. He describes exactly where these things were too, because both those men lived in the area at the time. They remember it. Larch Farm, that's here. Right, on this crossroads here between the A60 and the B6020 Kirkby Road. large farm. The first the roadblock was from here, at this crossroads here. It extended all the way to the Kirkby crossroads, which is there. It's a long, long way across there. It was as far north as the West Nottinghamshire College, as Dan explained. Well, that's there. So we're looking at that area cordoned off completely. Also, obviously, the cordoned off area had to include the crash site, which was here. So I imagine we're looking at an area close to, from the M1 all the way to Mansfield was sealed off, and as far east as Ravenhead, as far west as Kirkby. The traffic was diverted. Nigel told us the traffic was diverted round Blideth, so presumably he means this road there here, the A614. So the traffic, which normally goes north from Nottingham to Mansfield along the A60, was diverted along the A614, which means the A60 was shut. And down here, as far south as now near Annesley Hall, down this arc-shaped road here, which is virtually next to the M1. So there was a huge cordon here, a massive, massive cordon. Trees at the site are still badly incinerated, and many are marked for removal. Yeah, we've seen that. The army remained at the impact site for 3 to 4 days. Nigel says a week. The first impact of the object before it bounced caused a raging conflagration, which burned some trees down and caused others to burn on the opposite side of the trunks from the fire. So we have tree damage. There was a fire there which burnt lots of trees. Nigel has pointed out that there's some heat flash damage which seems to have affected one side of the tree more than the other. I didn't see any evidence that there was any large fire there, but then I'm not a forester, I'm not a tree expert. This is perfectly possible. There was a large amount of heat, a large amount of electromagnetic radiation, obviously. Nigel and Dan said there was radiation in the area, which is why the wood was cleared. Damage left in the wood was calculated to have been made by the object approximately 60 feet across, bigger than as Nigel estimates. This was confirmed visually by one witness. The trees were oddly bent from the base to a height of 6 and further. That's true, we've seen that. In microwave-like fashion, pine cones were burnt from the inside out. Really. The day after the incident, heavy military lorries arrived at the site, armed with guards, were posted to prevent access. Government officials on spotter planes were seen. At the first impact site, topsoil was found to have been removed down to a level of about 9 inches. This was replaced with clay and covered with new topsoil. Pines and silver birch were planted. Well, we've seen this. We've also seen there is a difference in the consistency between the soil in the clearing. There's a difference in the consistency as I sampled some of the soil between here. It's much more pale and sandy in this area than it is. We walked up that track there, and we can see the soil, the natural soil up here is very different. So we did see that indeed. This report is extremely interesting from a number of angles, especially as it involves intense electrical activity and nighttime light emission phenomena. The sighting of actual objects needs to be treated with caution. It's highly likely that only light emission was observed. Well, we have an object that have come down and a large crash retrieval. The Annesley may have been a secret military test of advanced propulsion systems gone horribly wrong. This is unlikely. This is possible, which me and Nigel discussed this, but it seems unlikely for the reasons we explain. In the first film I explained how it's unlikely this is Russian, because really when it took place the Cold War was over. Gorbachev was in power in the Soviet Union, the Cold War had been wound down, and of course it was part of the process which eventually led to the disillusionment of the Soviet Union a few years later in 1991 or 2, I believe. 1991 it was, the end of 1991. There's numbers of balls of light. It talks about the possibility that this is some kind of weapon, a British test. More likely, see, it talks about more like a Russian test. I don't think so, as I explained. I don't think it was Russian. Subsequent high-level British military activity at the Mansfield site demonstrates a very strong interest in this type of event. Right, so we do have a crash retrieval scene. Zigzagging angular sine wave type fireballs have been quite commonly observed in the skies over Kimberley, region of northeast Australia. Right, this, as I said, this was extracted from Nexus magazine volume 4 number 6, which was in 1997, one of the earliest Nexus magazines, which you can get if you buy one of the DVD-ROM updates or archives. So let's examine Annesley Hall from the air. This is the area where Nigel was talking about. This is the place where we were. We were on this Dog and Bear Lane. This is a dirt track which just runs between the Mansfield Road and this one here, the Annesley Road. Nigel indicated an area here. This is all private land, part of the Annesley estate. And he was talking about this here, which he called the Warren. This here is called, I think, is what he called the Warren, which is not marked on the map at all. And as Nigel was explaining, it's no longer marked as the Warren on the map. Behind it here is Heatherdale Pond, which is a lake. This is all private land, as he explained. And he was basically referring to an area somewhere around here. Now, if you look at this overhead view of this field, you can see a discoloration here in the soil, which may not be visible from ground level, but is very clearly visible here on the ground. And perhaps this is discoloured through some effect of the UFO landing. You also see other marks on the land here, these path-like, track-like marks coming in and looping round like this. This could have been caused by the removal of the object. The object might well have been removed, possibly by flatbed truck, possibly it was flown out by Chinook. It depends how big it is. But my guess is, based on the discoloration here, we have a likelihood that this was actually the place where the object came to rest. This 60-foot wide object that came down here. Very, very interesting indeed. So that was the Knots Roswell 2, our continuing investigation into the strange event of the Nottinghamshire Roswell. I'd like once again to thank Nigel Crowley for his input, his invaluable input into this film. Dan Bostock as well for everything that he's done. And I'm really, really grateful for those guys for getting in touch with me and for helping me out with this event. And I'm very, very glad I was able to help them out too. So it does look to me, Nigel has investigated this thoroughly for many years now, he and his brother, and it definitely appears there was some kind of Roswell type event. In other words, something came down in that area from another world. I'm not saying it's definitely extraterrestrial, but it's not man-made. It's not human-made. It's not from the human world. It's from somewhere else, maybe somewhere in another world, not on Earth. That's what I'm basically saying. I don't like to speculate too much when it comes to UFOs. I'm not saying it's from Mars or from Zeta Reticuli. We just don't know where it was from. We don't know what the object was. But there's no doubt. I mean, I've done this, the second film I've done on it now. Please go to the description box, watch the first film if you haven't already, and that will give you the background into everything that's been happening and everything that this event was all about. But a Roswell, just to reiterate, a Roswell is an event where an extraterrestrial craft comes to grief on the Earth's surface and is secretly salvaged by the government. The most famous of these events, of course, was the Roswell incident of 1947, which is, of course, how it got its name. But the word Roswell now is kind of like a common noun to refer to any of these kind of events. You get things like the Welsh Roswell, the French Roswell, the German Roswell, etc., etc., etc. It's only a matter of time, I think, before the Oxford English Dictionary actually puts it in there, under that, adds it to its vocabulary under that definition. So what we're looking at is actually has a lot of similarities to the Roswell incident of 1947. Some hardware did come down, which was damaged and unable to leave, and the government closed in, the government sealed off the area. So there's every reason to suspect, and I think it's unlikely that there's an alternative, that the government actually removed the object or whatever hardware and material was left on the ground. So in other words, it was a secret salvage operation, just like with Roswell in 1947. Another feature that this event has in common with the Roswell incident is the presence of severe thunderstorms. The Roswell incident also took place on the 4th of July 1947, where an object came to grief on the Earth's surface at the Mac Brazel's ranch. Again, the night before, there was very, very powerful electric storms. It seems that these events seem to have UFOs, whatever they are, seem to be vulnerable to these kind of meteorological phenomena. And there are many instances where they seem to be affected. They can be damaged and even crash when exposed to thunderstorms. This event also has some similarities to the Bedouin Mountains incident of January 1974, and I made a video all about that, Bedouin 40. I'll put a link in the description box if I remember rightly to do so, but it shouldn't be hard to find. You may well have seen it already if you're a regular Panmo TV viewer. The similarities in this case involved a loud explosion. There's a booming sound, an earthquake. In the case of Bedouin Mountains in 1974, people rushed out into the streets because they felt this tremor. Glasses were knocked off shelves in pubs a dozen miles away. Loud noise, extremely loud noise. This was followed by the sighting of an object on the ground. We don't know that there was an object that was damaged, or we don't know if anything was actually salvaged. It's possible. But there was at least one object on the ground that was seen by somebody. So there's a lot of similarities there. Now, another similarity between Bedouin Mountains and the Nottinghamshire Roswell is the presence of military in the area. Not just military responding to the incident, because of course this happened at Roswell, the military responded. The government sent the military in to deal with it. In this case, the military were in the area already. There's no way, even in the Cold War with all the air bases that were around the area, there's no way that a military unit could have assembled and deployed that quickly unless they were alerted in advance. So as with Bedouin Mountains, there was a presence, there was a forward operating position in the area ready to deal with the event when it happened. This means that the government knew in advance that the object was going to come down. Now this is extremely curious, and as I said before, as I was saying to Nigel, as I said in the Bedouin 40 film, if we knew how the government knew that, I think we go a long way to uncovering the mystery of this event and these events in general, including Bedouin. Now, some people have said that the reason they were there was because it was one of ours. It's secret technology, as was speculated in the Nexus article. It was some kind of secret aircraft that came down. Nigel and I don't agree with that for the reasons we explain in the film. If it was an extraterrestrial craft and the government knew it was going to come down, how did they know it was going to come down? Did they shoot it down? Did they have an advance warning from the extraterrestrials that there was a damaged craft heading their way? We don't know. That's the question. Now, this event actually differs from both Roswell and Bedouin Mountains in one crucial feature, and that is this happened in a reasonably populated area. The Roswell incident happened in a remote corner of New Mexico, it's quite a long way from civilization, quite a long way from any built-up areas. Bedouin Mountains also was in an area which was almost as remote and inaccessible as the New Mexican desert. It was in the high Bedouin Mountains of northeast Wales, where nobody lives. It's completely uninhabited, and the nearest villages are a dozen miles or so away. The Nottinghamshire Roswell happened in a very, very different location. It happened in a quite built-up rural area of England, what's known as the Nottingham conurbation, as it's called today. I don't think it was called that in those days. But as you can see, although there was a lot of open countryside, there was forest, there was fields, there was farmland, there were large towns nearby, a number of large towns. There were a large population in the area. A lot of skeptics say that the thing about Roswell and that, it never seems to happen in the middle of a city, does it? It's always in some remote corner of Devil's Arsehole, Nevada or somewhere where no one's around to see it. Isn't that convenient, these aliens only ever crash in these areas? Well, there's several reasons why that is. And firstly, because contrary to what the genocidal, homicidal population reduction people will tell you, the majority of the Earth's surface actually is free from human habitation. Only about half the Earth's surface has any significant human habitation, and the majority of that is, I think, less than 2 people per square mile. Large built-up areas of concentrated population are rare. The United Kingdom, the island of Great Britain, is one of the most densely populated islands on the planet. The density of population on this island is extremely high compared to the Earth in general. We have 255,000 square miles. We have almost 70 million people living on this island. So that's very unusual. Alright, so you can't judge the whole world by places like Great Britain. So that's one of the reasons why these crashes always seem to happen, or mostly seem to happen in remote areas. But the skeptics are wrong. There are reports of these events that do happen in built-up areas, and another, along with this one we're talking about today, the Nottinghamshire case, is Virginia. Virginia is in Brazil. It's actually a city in Brazil, in quite a densely packed, populated area, where strange objects were seen in the sky. And the following day, several people saw weird alien creatures sort of wandering around the town, virtually. Nevertheless, the government did manage to successfully cover up that event. There were a number of witnesses that have spoken out since, but there's been nothing in the media about it at all. And as for the Nottinghamshire Roswell, there's been nothing in the media about that at all. Nothing in the mainstream media at all. If you check the newspaper archives and TV archives, you'll see absolutely nothing. Even though strange things were seen in the sky, there was large physical effects and electromagnetic effects to the area, a densely populated area, and many square miles of the North Nottinghamshire or West Nottinghamshire was sealed off for about a week. It was not mentioned in the mainstream press. The only place you'll see it is in the specialist UFO and mystery press, which is what Nexus is. So where do we go from here? I'm not sure. We've got an interesting case here now. We built up on it considerably. Lots more details thanks to Nigel Crowley. Maybe there are more people out there who know what's going on here. If there are, please contact me. You can speak to me in the strictest of confidence. You don't have to join in with a Panwo TV production the way Nigel has. I'd just be grateful for any information you can give me. As soon as if there's an update on this, as soon as that information comes in, I will make a third instalment in this series of films to keep you updated on that. And any other little snippets which don't maybe not justify an entire film on their own, I will also publish. Keep an eye on the comments box of these videos, because that's where a lot of the information, a lot of the comments come out. This is where Nigel first got in touch with me over this instance, so please keep an eye on the comments box of these videos, and any information you can send me will be gratefully received. In the meantime, keep watching the skies. Thanks for watching, Panmo TV viewers. Hospital porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.